Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, relax, and let's chat about what is coming up in the astrology of the week and the human design of the week. And we'll even maybe get trained over into gene keys as well. It's good to see everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. It certainly flew by so fast. It was like one day it was Saturday and the next day it was Sunday night. I mean, well, literally the next day would have been Sunday, but it just felt like it had just moved at the speed of sound, the speed of light. Here today, gone tomorrow, and it was time to come back and be ready for a new week. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know, what did I do this weekend? I did some shopping on Saturday and went for a bike ride yesterday. And I had gotten involved with a warrior weekend challenge with my daughters and my son-in-law. And I was invited into it through our Fitbits. We all have Fitbits. And I thought, well, what the heck, I'm going to be bicycling this weekend and I'll be active, so I'll participate. Well, never mind the fact that they're 20 years younger than me and they just totally wiped the screen with me. And guess what else? Bicycling, even though I did a 4-mile, probably longer than that, 4 to 5 mile bike riding trip, it didn't count the same way as steps do. And so, yay, though, I got credit for a lot of heart cardio and fat burn sort of exercise. I did not get credit for the steps. So it looked like I was lagging way behind them. And I got so irritated. I went, well, I am not doing a warrior weekend again against 30-year-olds. So anyway, it was kind of fun though, because it made me make sure that I was keeping busy, moving around, trying to get more and more steps. And yet now I've learned a big lesson. Bicycling and steps don't have some kind of equality going. So I did not get credit for, well, a 4-mile ride, which really by the time I got up to the parking lot and back would have been about another mile. So a 5-mile ride should have been 10,000 steps, but it didn't equate to that at all. So boo hiss. Anyway, though, it was a nice weekend. We had decent weather and it was good to get outside in the middle of winter and to be able to exercise. And I hope everybody else had that kind of a weekend. Let's see who's with us this morning. Good morning, Colleen. Good morning, Vicki. Debbie, good morning to you. She said, yes, it was fast. I mean, seriously, I was sitting there last night going, where did the weekend go? Oh my goodness. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, Mimi. It's good to see you. And good morning, Debbie H. Good to see you as well. So wherever you were, whatever you were doing, I hope you had a good time while you were doing it. Now let's take a look at what is coming up for the week ahead. Today, we start out the day with the moon in Scorpio. And as I looked down the line at the week ahead, it seems to be, I want to call this week a mixed bag week, meaning there are some really good things happening, but there's just some underlying things, like some little things that might come up and goose you a little bit and make you, change your mood perhaps, or take you into a darker place for a short time. And then just as quickly, you're back to being your normal self and your happy self. So let's see if I can break it down a bit. So today the moon is in Scorpio. So we're already emotional. We are deep in the passion and intense about whatever it is that we're doing. And then we end up with the moon in a really good relationship with Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. So we have psychic energy with us today. We have the energy of looking deep and to being able to experience things from the unseen realm in a way that we don't always get to. So we have the two foundational planets, Saturn and Pluto, both in Capricorn, grounding us. And hopefully what happens is with the moon in Scorpio, we're able to take some of that insight, some of that more psychic, intuitive energy and ground it into reality, where we are able then to use the information that we're gleaning from the unseen in ways that are practical and pragmatic and organized, down to earth. You know that drill, right? The whole Capricorn, building a solid foundation type of energy. Today, the moon also moves void of course at 2:30 p.m., 2:39 my time today. So what is that, 5:39 for you all on the East Coast? And then it is void from that afternoon point until 6:33 tomorrow morning. So all through the rest of the workday, if you're here on the West Coast, hopefully it's the end of your workday on the East Coast and you won't be bothered by it at all. So if you have things that you need to get done or that you really want to get done, let's do them this morning, right? This morning and early afternoon, because by the time we get into the later afternoon here and evening on the East Coast, you are in a spot where it is much more workable to be quiet or withdrawn or do yoga, meditate, right? You're not going to get a lot of work done. So that is marking the transition point from Scorpio into the moon in Sagittarius. So tomorrow, when you get up and you start your workday, you're going to be in a much different sign, one that is about fire, one is about, going out and doing things. So the energy shifts tomorrow, definitely from the more deeper energies of the day today. We're also looking at Mercury conjunct the sun this week. So that tells me that we are about halfway through the Mercury cycle, which means we're halfway to the next Mercury retrograde, which, by the way, occurs March 5th. So that's about right. The planet Mercury and the sun, they come back together. And then that marks the halfway point in their cycle with one another. And that means in a couple of weeks, about 6 weeks, we will have another Mercury retrograde. Yay. In water. The whole of that retrograde will be in Pisces. We'll talk more about that as I'm sure time goes on. But when Mercury and the sun come together, it's like Mercury picks up new energy from the sun, new messages, right? What is the new message going to be? And then begins to move ahead of the sun, and then turns retrogrades backwards into the sun again, and then backwards even further, and then the cycle starts anew. So it's continuous cycle that we are going through. But whenever Mercury conjuncts the sun, it is either bringing new energy, new information, or it is delivering the insights from the retrograde back to the sun. So here we go. Woohoo! Thursday, Saturn is going to be in a very lovely angle to the planet Neptune. And this is one that we talked about in the webinar of the astrology for 2019, where Saturn was going to be in a sextile, a 60-degree angle, a positive relationship with the planet Neptune 3 different times this year, but never being very far away from the influence of one another. And that makes for a year, remember, where I said it was good to establish a spiritual foundation to your day. And if you already have one established, to deepen it or maybe add some things to it. It is encouraging us to have a spiritual practice as a way to cement a solid foundation for us here on the planet. This is also one of those times where it looks like what's empowered business-wise is the spiritual types of businesses that we have, right? So the work that I do, the work healers do, hypnosis people, counselors, coaches, etc. If you add a spiritual dimension to the work that you're doing, no matter what you're doing, even if you're teaching or cleaning houses or whatever you're doing, it is empowering the spiritual connection to whatever it is that we're doing in the world. So if you are wanting to be in the line of success this year, it is about empowering that divinity within you as much as the physical part of who you are. So your physical being and your spiritual being coming into sort of a oneness is favored in this particular year. And of course, we have then the first one of those happening on the 31st, which is Thursday. Can't believe we are at the end of January almost. As we move into February, Friday, we have Mars squaring Pluto, perhaps the most energetic yet maybe even slightly dangerous connection between planets this week. And it is Mars in Aries, a sign it rules, Pluto in Capricorn, a sign where it's been dissolving, maybe not dissolving, but breaking down the structures and forms of our daily life and of our government, of our institutions. And so Mars may just be able to see, I don't know, maybe this is where we start getting into the real work of trying to keep the government from shutting down in another 3 weeks. And it will probably be marked by a lot of arguing and infighting. And let's hope that cooler heads prevail and that they can come together and work together to find solutions. So you also, in your personal life, wherever there is conflict, wherever it is that you seemingly are coming from different points of view or different ways of doing things, this is going to be the time where the catalyzing energy is about trying to find a way to solve the challenge. The very next day, after the Mars square Pluto, we have Venus in a trine to Uranus. So surprising things can happen to harmonize, to bring balance. So we have, first the disruptive energy and then the more cooling energy, or the more peaceful, loving sort of energies that come up. Sunday, Mercury is in a sextile to Jupiter. So as you know, when I said, that this week was going to have some little things that might come up and goose you and then, go on and then it goes back to smooth. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, right? The sort of up and downs of these transits that are happening this week. Mercury in a sextile to Jupiter is just this wonderful energy where we can align our minds and our mouths, our communication, with the ability to be optimistic and to grow and to move forward. So I think that out of Friday's craziness, or, and remember how I've said this before, these transits don't come up just that one day and then they're gone. Right. So Friday is the day that I'm saying that Mars and Pluto are square and it's exact. But the days leading up to that, we're already in, right? We're already in this. And the days after it are also part of the experience. So these are all sitting kind of nested within one another, like little nesting dolls. And except for the faster moving planets, Venus or Mercury, they may be a little further away, but they're still in orb, is what we say, when they're close enough to be creating some of that energy already. But once it gets to that day, that's when it's conjunct or square or exact. And then after that, it begins to separate. So it's that in-breath, and then the breath is full, and then the out-breath. So it's that same energy that it's how life breathes, right, through these transits. So again, this is only a 7-day period that I'm looking at, and these are already building, right? So they're already there for us. And in some ways, depending on your own personal chart, you may be already experiencing these challenges. You may already be experiencing this optimism. So it's because your chart is maybe being triggered by something. So being aware of these things in the week helps you throughout the whole week. But if you know what day it's exact, then that helps to, now when it's going to start to wane, when it's going to be separating. Okay. Any questions? Let's see what everybody's talking about out there. www.iawaketechnologies.com is having a 30 to 50% off sale for a few days on 3 great meditations. This is the company that Colette uses with many of her classes. Awesome. Good morning, Shauna Stewart. I haven't seen you in a while. Good morning, April. Janice, good morning. It's good to see you out there. And I think everybody, if you have questions, feel free to write them in here. So if we look at the moon's transits for the week overall, the moon begins the week in Scorpio, moves to Sagittarius, then Capricorn. We end the week, or on Sunday, the moon moves into Aquarius. So what we're seeing are the upper houses in the chart that are being affected. So the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And so what we see then are some pretty powerful energies, and likely a lot of them might play out in your outer world, maybe even through your relationships, or you may just see it splashed on, the news, that different things are happening. So not so personal this week, but there may be personal ramifications of things going on with the moon. So I want to take a look at the Human Design Week, because we just happened to land here on Monday with the new Human Design Week birthing at the same time. And so the HD week, we start with the sun at the gate 19. So remember last week where was the human design new year, and we walked through the portal of fantasy and imagination, and we set the tone then for what is it we desire? What do we want? And I told you all it was a great week to dream the dream, right? To be setting your minds toward what it is that I really want. What would I create if I knew I wouldn't fail? How would my life unfold in front of me if I was painting on a blank canvas, right? That was the energy of last week. Now we get to this week with the sun at gate 19 instead of gate 41, and now it becomes about breaking the chains of codependence. And it becomes about our breaking away and breaking into things that are going to be correct for us, that serve us in a way to bring unity rather than separation. And it is also about sensitivity. So remember, I said last week was the fantasy and the imagination. Well, this week is our ability to become silent, perhaps quiet enough to be able to reach out into or encapsulate the energies coming through the morphogenetic fields, where we can let that energy inform us of what our next steps are. And interestingly enough, the gate 33 is where the earth is, and that is really about revelation. It is about the fact in the shadow we've forgotten. We've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten what we came here to do. We dropped through, many of you here have heard about the veil of forgetting, and gate 33 embodies that place where we have forgotten. And the sun at gate 19 is prepared to help us remember about how to end separation through being in a unified field, right? Establishing unity through being very sensitive, through intimacy, right? This is one of those channels in your human design. Oh, I didn't draw a chart up for the week, but I'll show you from our fake chart here that I drew up where that is happening. The gate 19 is right here on the root center, right? So this is the impulse, right? This is life's impulse to become intimate, to seek out sensitivity, to seek out more information. And then it connects over here at gate 49. So the sun is sitting at gate 19 here. In this person's chart, they would have had the whole channel connected this week. But the gate 33 is sitting right here on the throat. And it is also called the gate of the storyteller. In some way, it's more the story keeper. And they transmit the stories from the collective, from our human race. And, you know, the old-fashioned or old-time way of communicating was like sitting around the family dinner table, sitting around the fire, you know, if you were a tribe, and downloading stories, right? Or the happenings of the day. We've totally lost that. And so this is an important way for us to reestablish connection with all that is, and with the plants and the animals, because they are also resonating in their human designs with the gate 19. In fact, the people that have gate 19 defined are often the people we would think of as the dog whisperers, the horse whisperers. They're very connected to the animal kingdom. And in this way, they're very sensitive to what animals or plants are feeling or sensing themselves. They tap into what it is that they need or what it is they're trying to communicate with all of us. So there's something very deep moving through us in this particular week. One message is about what we've forgotten, about the truth of who we are, while the other one is asking us to become more sensitive, to be able to be in the right place at the right time with the right opportunity and the right people. So 33, the earth, is also an energy that is a bit withdrawing at times. So when we have energy, like I said this week, where, you know, things might rise up and bite us a little, our tendency may be to withdraw. And in fact, that may be a good use of your energy, short-term withdrawal, to be able to find what that means for you in the grand scheme of things, and then be able to reemerge out into the world stronger for the revelation and what it's meant. This is the I remember kind of week, right? Where we're tapping into something much bigger than us and being able to move forward with our own life's mission based on what it is that we pull from that field. So it's a really good week that way, but it has moments of quietness and moments of more loud expression. So, Vicky, my gate 19 is striped. So you have two planets sitting there, Vicky, either one from the red column and one from the black column. So that gate has more emphasis for you this week. Janice says, ha ha, stop telling my life. I can't help myself. That's the way it goes. And Janice, if I remember correctly, you're a Taurus, right? So Venus, your ruling planet. So Venus this week trine Uranus. There may be some interesting things that come up for you this week in your chart, wherever that might be. And for everyone else, I don't remember everybody's spirit. Let's see, Debbie, or chart, but Debbie pulled a card for us. Debbie Tibbetts Two Meal spirit animal card for the day is number 44, Panther Spirit. Reclaim your power. Panther Spirit is here to tell you are braver than you think. Now is time to take a risk and step into a different aspect of your being. That's a great one for the week, right? So it would be akin to somebody pulling something out of the stream of consciousness, the morphogenetic field, and it being different, but being exciting, and but maybe even a little scary, but it also having this feeling that it's so right, and you needing then to be a little bit braver, taking that risk. Panther is a great spirit card, and it's number 44. I don't know if Suzanne is out there for us, but Suzanne, if you're there, she'll put up the 44, the angel number information for us. But I don't see her yet, but she might be out there, and I just don't see her. Anyway, so what else is going on this week? We have Mercury also, because remember, it is going to conjunct the sun. So Mercury is also at the gate 19, and the Mercury being the planet of messages, the messenger planet, the planet of the mind. It is really interesting to see how when the sun and Mercury are both aligned at this gate, what might come up for you, right? What information may be downloaded to you in this particular week. And the best way for us to find that out is to remain open, right? To just remain open and to actually even at times tap into, just purposefully get into that meditative state and be able to tap into what is it that God or a goddess or source or cosmic mind is trying to reach out and download to you. So it could be a great week for that kind of connection as well, with the mind and the heart seemingly a little more aligned than at other weeks in human design. Today there are two planets changing gates, and so I wanted to call that attention to you as well. Venus and Jupiter are both the gates, are changing gates today, but remember they started out, let's see, it was midweek last week, I guess, when they came into a conjunction, both of them in Sagittarius, and they brought us the opportunity to connect with something very much heart-centered, to connect in a way that was optimistic. It was something that was very growth-oriented. I said it was a great day for expansion, but to make sure you didn't go too far and overindulge or overdo, you know the drill, right? With Jupiter this year in Sagittarius, we don't want to go too far too fast, because then we would have to have Saturn come back after us and its, constrictive forces to bring us back into balance or harmony. So those two now separating into different gates. Venus at gate 11, the light of idealism. And actually in the gene keys, it moves from obscurity or darkness into idealism, and then finally into the gift or to the siddhi, which is light, right? Being more available, transducing more and more light through your DNA and tapping into the light as opposed to the dark, or allowing at least that balance to come in. So Venus will be sitting there for the rest. I think it's for the whole week, now that I remember. Gate 11, oops, that's July. Why I keep opening to July. Yeah, through Friday the 1st. So for a good chunk of the week, Venus will be at gate 11. And then we'll talk about where it moves next later in the week. But the planet Jupiter is moving to an interesting gate, gate 26. Remember last week when we were talking about the human design year, and I talked about the fact Jupiter rewards, right? We talked about Saturn's lessons and the karma, perhaps, that we were working through with Saturn as a way to be able to connect to our Jupiter rewards. And what Jupiter rewards us with here at gate 26 is this energy that you could think of as being able to be in integrity. In the gene keys, this gate totally confuses me because it moves from pride to artfulness to invisibility. And I'm not sure how those three words go together. It's not a gene key I've delved deeply into, but from human design, I can tell you this is a gate where we're really needing to be true to ourselves, right? Where we have to stay in integrity. And remember, integrity is a word that comes from the root word integument, meaning your skin, right? So being in your skin is akin to being in your integrity, which is about being true to you, right? It is fulfilling your own needs and balancing that with the needs of others. And so it's an interesting gate, I think, for Jupiter to be at because of our tendency with Jupiter and Sagittarius to want to overgrow, to overdo and overindulge. Here we have this pulling back to be able to do things. There's going to be some people that are overly giving to others and they leave their own needs unmet. And it is going to be a call for them to be more mindful of what their needs are and how to fulfill their needs as a way to balance that against others. Then there are other people who are so they're so involved in their own needs being fulfilled that they don't recognize about others. And so they're going to have to go in the other direction. So it's all about balancing our needs against the of others' needs. And how do we fulfill both, right? I mean, we're not alone on the planet. It's not just, you being one person. You have a family, you have a community, you have maybe your work outside the home, and you have, your coworkers that become sort of your extended family. And how is it that you meet your needs as well as theirs? That's the key with Jupiter this next several weeks, as she's there for quite the while now. All right, so that takes us through the bulk of what is going on in our human design this week as well. Let's see, anybody have anything else they want to share? I'll let you take a few minutes to be able to put that in there. I just want to, a couple of schedule changes this week. One, I will not be with you here tomorrow morning. And on Wednesday, I will be here. Thursday, I won't be here in the morning. It is our Ascension and Astrology Day, where if you were listening to Cornelia, Stephanie, and I last week, we went into how is it that we can tell that we are ascending through astrology? What did ascension mean, right? What was that word that really drove me crazy? And what did it mean in the grand scheme of things? And this week, we were going to take a look at the individual, and people were going to email us even some of the things that are happening to them as a way for us to be able to show you what it is that you're ascending through. So that'll be on Thursday. And then I will be back Friday morning to give you the weekend update. So that's me for the week. I can't believe I got all this done in 30 minutes today. Anybody have anything else they want to share? Say, you're all so quiet this morning. Yikes. All right. Well, I don't see anything else popping up here. So that's it for me this morning. I hope you all have a great day. Mwah. Much love to you all. See you later.